updated version of my Metalfoe list. Um, I just decided to um, make an update video on this list because I got some new cards for the deck. Of course, we are still proxying a few cards, but oh well. And I just thought that this would be an overall better experience because I found better cards within my trades and decided to throw them in to see how they work. And surprisingly, they work out very good. So I'm going to start off with the Abyss Actors stuff first. First, we're going to start off with the three ofs, which your main three of is your Wild Hope. Let's zoom in a bit. Come on, focus. Oh, sorry guys, that's as much as it's going to focus, but um, sorry, I have like a stuffy nose at the moment, but either way, we have the three Wild Hope. Your Wild Hope is your essential Abyss Actor monster for its float effect, so you always want to have it in your scale or your monster zone, and then just have it destroyed so you can search each time. Oops, there was one behind. I was wondering why it felt thicker than usual. So this monster is extremely good, and of course it's very good when trying to bring out your evil heal. If you actually have another Abyss Actor monster in your extra deck, but you hardly ever use that effect. You usually use them for your popping effect. Next, we play three Curtain Raiser. Curtain Raiser is a spicy tech for every other Pendulum deck because of the fact that you can place him in your scale. And if you control no monsters, special summon him from your scale. And he just makes overall good link material because he. Uh, I'm sorry, guys. Because he makes very good Electromite material. He makes good Link 2 material. Because if you have two of him in your hand, just scale, special, normal, Link. And you pop off on a lot of things with that. And of course, he is extremely good rank 4 material. Moving on, we have your three leading lady. Leading lady, you hardly use, but you always want to have it at 3 mainly because she is one of your main monsters. So like if she's in your monster zone and if anyone were to take damage, you can target one of your opponent's monsters. It loses attack equal to the damage that the person took. And not only that, but if she's in your scale, you actually get the ability if if she if you take damage and she's in your scale, you can either add an Abyss Actor monster with attack equal to or less than the damage you took from your extra deck back to your hand, or you can just make your opponent's monster lose that attack that you took as damage. And not only that, but when she's destroyed by battle or by card effect in the main monster zone, you actually get to set an Abyss script directly from your deck. So that's actually a very good plus on that end. Okay, following up with the next three ofs, which is the last three ofs that you run for the Abyss Actors, is your main monster, Superstar. You run three Superstar mainly because essentially when normal or special summon, your opponent's everything on your opponent's side of the field is negated. Your opponent cannot activate spells, traps, and other effects cannot be activated. And of course, once per turn, you get to set an Abyss script from your deck to your field, but destroy it during the end phase. Of course, good rank 7 material, good link material. She's overall a good card. Going into the one ofs, we play one Abyss Actor extras, mainly because if you don't have anything in your scales and you need a quick scale, this card comes in handy, but also when your opponent controls a monster and you don't, or at least when your opponent controls a monster, you could just special summon it to your field from your scale, which which is very good. Also, when this monster is in the main monster zone, you contribute this monster to place an Abyss Actor monster in your scale, which is a good effect. Then you have your Funky Comedian. Funky Comedian is that monster that you use to help your abyss actors gain their attack, gain more attack when they need it. And of course, he is a good scale 8. Sadly, we don't have a scale 9 yet. I am seriously considering getting a scale 9, mainly because sometimes you want to pendulums on one of your monsters that are high levels. You want to pendulum summon some of your monsters that are high levels. We do have one Funky Comedian. Funky Comedian is your main monster for bringing out your evil heal when you need them. And of course, this card is also extremely handy in your pendulum scale because he gets to because when he's in your pendulum scale, you essentially every time you pendulum summon a monster doesn't have to be an abyss actor. You can add a level 1 or 8 abyss actor monster from your pendulum monster from your extra deck back to your hand. So it's just a recycle effect. So that's really, really good. For the last abyss actor monster we run is abyss actor evil heal. Your evil heal is your main 3000 beat stick. You can normal him, special him, doesn't matter. But of course, when he is normal or special summoned, essentially you get to target one of your opponent's monsters, and it loses 1000 attack for each face-up abyss actor pendulum monster on the field you currently control. So that is so good because you have an entire field and your opponent's monster say has 4000 attack and you have 5 monsters on the field. Your opponent just loses all that attack. Moving on to the Metalfoe stuff, I'm trying to run 2 of every Metalfoe monster except for Bismal Gear, but so far I just need 2 more monsters. So we do run 2 Gold Driver for the scale 1, and of course I'm thinking about throwing Link Spider into this deck, so I'll let you guys know how that goes. We do have 2 Metalfoe Stealing. Of course, like all Metalfoe's monsters, its pendulum effect is essentially you can once per turn you can target one other card on your face-up card on your field you control, destroy it, and if you do, set one Metalfoe spell or trap card directly from your deck. So if you don't already have your fusion or your trap, essentially this card can come in handy because these pendulum effects come in handy because you could just pop one of your face-up cards and you just gain that effect, and it comes extremely in handy with it comes insanely in handy with your what's his name, Wild Hope's effect. One silvered at the moment. We need one more of it. Of course, scale 1, extremely good. And at the moment, one Vol's Flame, of course, need one more, mainly because Vol's Flame is a level 7. Helps out tremendously with your scale. Helps out with your scales, of course. Helps out with the effect. And not only that, but good rank 7 material. And of course, for added for some staples for the monsters, we run 3 Odd-Eyes Pendulum Dragon. Of course, Pendulum Dragon's a pendulum effect. You already know it. If you don't, let me read it to you. Let's have 2 of him right there. Okay, so you can reduce battle damage you take from an attack involving a pendulum control to 0 during your end phase. You can destroy this card, and if you do, add one pendulum monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Odd-Eyes Pendulum Dragon once per turn. So that is extremely good. And of course, its monster effect comes in handy when your opponent has a monster face-up attack um, with zero attack. So essentially, you get to do double the battle damage that your opponent would originally take involving an attack with this monster on your on one of his monsters. So that is extremely good, and I love the Platinum Secret Rare. Moving on into the Abyss Actor spells, we run three of the main Regeki, the natural Regeki of the Abyss Actor arc, which is your Abyss Actor, Abyss Script, Rise of the Abyss King. This card comes in handy so much you won't even believe it. And I'm sorry, guys, my camera is kind of acting up on me. So this card essentially, you just get to destroy um, monsters up to the number up to the on. You get to destroy face-up cards up to the number of face-up Abyss Actor Pendulum monsters you control. Um, and not only that, but if you have an Abyss script, if you have an Abyss Actor Pendulum monster face-up in your extra deck, while this card is set and destroyed, you could add 2 Abyss Actor monsters from your deck to your hand. So comes in handy when trying to add your scales if need be. Then we run um, the three Abyss Daemon. Abyss Daemon essentially up to twice per turn tribute 1 Abyss Actor monster. Set an Abyss script from your graveyard back to your field up to per turn. And of course, when set and having an Abyss Actor Pendulum monster in your extra deck, you get the ability to what's it called, to spend. And then your opening ceremony, if destroyed while set and having a face-up Abyss Actor Pendulum monster in your extra deck, draw until you have 5. And of course, if you just activate it from your hand, by its effect, you get to you get to you get to gain life points up to the for each Abyss Actor monster you control. So that helps out. Going into the Metalfoe stuff, we have only 2 Metalfoe spell cards, which are Metalfoe's Fusion, good for bringing out your extra deck, some of your Fusion Metalfoe extra deck cards. Not only that, but also extremely good for draw power, because once it hits the grave, essentially you just get to shuffle it back into the deck and then draw 1. Some tech cards that we run in the for the spells. 2 Odd Eyes fusions for fusioning your dragon monsters that you run in the deck, because this card comes extremely in handy. And of course, you get to use Odd Eyes monsters from your extra deck if you control no monsters. Then we do run 1 Raigeki for extra clearance of your opponent's board. And the final card that we run is a proxy of Pendulum Paradox, mainly to add cards that you need from your extra deck back to your hand. And the only traps that we run at the moment, which I need to get rid of 1 and throw in the combo, is 2 Metalfoe's counter. I need to get rid of 1 counters and throw Metalfoe's combination in. Going into the extra deck, we do run 1 Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion, mainly for extra damage on your opponent while attacking, because detach 1x's material, drain the attacking monster that this card is attacking or is being attacked by down to 0. Drain that attack down to 0, and this card gains that attack, so that helps out tremendously when trying to win a game. Then you have your 2 oh my god, I hate this. Okay. Then you have your 2 Odd Eyes Absolute Dragons for negation of attacks when you need them negated. And not only that, but you also essentially, when it's destroyed or sent to the graveyard, anytime it's sent to the graveyard, you get a special summon an Abyss Act. An Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck, which helps out. We do run number 11 Big Eye for snatching your opponent's monsters when need be. Red Eyes Flare Metal for protection, and not only that, but also for burn damage. So the only way for your opponent to get around this card is by destroying it by battle. That's all for the exes. We only run one synchro, which is Odd Eyes Meteor Burst. Now, I know we don't run a tuner in the deck, but there's a reason for that. For you see, we don't synchro this card. What we actually do is we have our Odd Eyes Absolute destroyed to special summon our Meteor Burst. And once Meteor Burst is special summon, we get special summon a monster from our Pendulum Zones. We do run one Metalfoe's Mithram, um, mainly for the ability to target two Metalfoe cards in our graveyards and one card on the field, shuffle the targets from my graveyard into the deck, and then return the target on the field to the hand. And of course, we can only use that effect once per turn. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get a special summon one Metalfoe's Pendulum monster from your graveyard or face up from your extra deck. So you need to bring back a Metalfoe's monster, and this card gets destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Just effect special. Ah, my neck. We do run one Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon because your Vortex Dragon is technically a compulsory evacuation device, and of course helps with negation of any card effects during any player's turn. One Metalfoe's Oracle. The reason why we're running him is mainly because you get to inflict double piercing battle damage if a Metalfoe monster you control would attack. And of course, when he's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, essentially just destroy one card on your opponent's field, which helps getting rid of some of the pesky monsters. One Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, mainly because when you actually fusion summon this monster, and if he's destroyed by battle or by card effect, when he's destroyed and sent to the graveyard by anything, essentially just destroy all special summon monsters your opponent controls, so that helps out with getting rid of their pesky links. One Starving Venom, one Supreme King Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. I know it's banned, but I run it still because to hell with the ban list, and this card's extremely easy to get out, but we usually use it for the fusion summon of another monster. But this card is just a staple for now. We do have one Metalfoe's Crimsonite, mainly because we run it mainly because it's a 3000 beat stick, and there's hardly any way around it unless destroying it by battle or by card effect. But and of course the monster that we use the Supreme King Starving Venom for is one Odd Eyes Venom Dragon. Your Odd Eyes Venom Dragon is very very good because it gains the attack of the monster that it targets. Of course, it takes the effect and the name of that monster until the end of the turn. One Electromite, yes, it is a proxy, mainly because Electromite is a main card that you run in every Pendulum deck. Also helps out with draw power when destroying your scales. And then one Zephyr Metaltron, mainly because it helps with banishing your monster and making room on your field when you need that room for more extra deck plays. Um, that's all for the extra deck. And then finally the side deck. We side one Sassy Rookie because Sassy Rookie, you just it is just a stalling card, and of course you get a special summon a level 4 or lower Abyss Actor monster when it gets destroyed, so that's actually a tremendous effect. We do side to you have that's level 4 or lower, and you actually have this card in your hand. You just normal effect target special 2 copies of it, more link materials, which is essentially good in every way. And then again, they have their effects negated, and you destroy them during the end phase. But you always use it for the link summon of that of Electromite. For the hand traps, I consider this a hand trap, but we use two kaiju's, which are the dark ones. Um, Radion, the multi-dimensional kaiju. I side two Radions because Radion is extremely good. Not a lot of people see it. Everyone's always like going, "Oh my God," about Gamma Seal. I mean, yeah, I would like to get my hands on two Gamma Seals, but I'm mainly sticking to Radion because Radion is my first kaiju. So he helps out tremendously in decks when I need him. Two Pendulum Storms mainly to get rid of my scales and then get rid of my opponent's spells and traps. Well, to get rid of one of my like I can get rid of my scales or my opponent's scales, and then essentially just pop one of my opponent's spells or traps. So that actually helps out tremendously when trying to get rid of my opponent's scales, and I can just protect my scales instead. Mind control, just in case we need to steal one of our opponent's monsters to make more link material. Pendulum Reborn, we cannot special summon the monsters that we need that are higher than the scales that we have in our extra deck. So we have one Pendulum Reborn sided for that purpose. Two widespread ruin, and yes, one is one with that art and one with that art. We do run widespread ruin mainly because when an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy the attack position monster. Opponent has a monster with the highest attack, with a high attack. Essentially, just use this card to destroy that, and you actually have holes which are bottomless and floodgate. Bottomless to banish the pesky 1500 or more attack monsters, and floodgate when we're going up against other pendulum based decks. So he pendulum summons, and he actually has everything going back face down. Should that go down? Then we have a Mind Crush. Mind Crush is there mainly because it actually does help out. Your opponent adds a monster from his deck to his hand, essentially by this card's effect. You get to make your opponent. You can declare that card's name. Your opponent has to discard all. Otherwise, you have to discard one random card if you actually don't get the card right. So the main reason why you run that is if your opponent searches out. So that actually does kind of help out. And then of course one proxy dragon for extra links for another link monster. Well, that's all for now, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.